Hey everyone, this is John Puritz. Welcome to the Man Up Already podcast. This show is dedicated to each of us being better in all areas of our lives, mentally, spiritually, physically, and relationally. We want to help you be a better you because when you man up already, the world around you is greatly impacted. Here on the podcast, we don't believe you're an accident. We believe each of us is created for purpose, and this show is dedicated to helping you discover and live out that purpose. Again, welcome to the show, and let's check out another great episode. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Man Up Already podcast. Super excited to have you here as always. And today is a special treat on the podcast. It's just me. I was thinking the other day how often, we have guests and the lineup that we've had and the episodes that we've had in reserve. And I had an opportunity today where we had a guest scheduled, and unfortunately they couldn't make it. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to get on here and share with you guys something that has been on my heart and mind. And it's been a little while since I've done this, so I'm super pumped to be with you in this manner. And wherever this finds you, I just so appreciate you tuning in, checking out. For our consistent listeners, I cannot tell you how grateful we are for you and how you listen consistently. And if you're a new listener, thank you for being here. At the end of the podcast, I will share a couple of things on how you can keep the mission moving forward. But today I want to talk about something I think is a really important distinction. So, the podcast is so dedicated to just, growing and being better. And I understand that for a large portion of this year, I've been on the man movement. But I want to make sure that we kind of, expand and get back to how do we just be better humans, right? Like men, women, all of us, how do we just continue to be better? And I had a situation show up in my family life, not my immediate family, my extended family. And it was yesterday that I was like, there's a big distinction between having empathy and taking responsibility. And I want to talk about that a little bit today. So I'm entitling this episode, Your Drama is Not My Responsibility. It was inspired by a LinkedIn post that I had put out there. But when we have empathy, empathy is when we care, when we listen, we show concern, we offer perspective, we share insight, we lend a helping hand. So, when you think about, right, obviously it's all about people, guys. Like you can't live a life and just not be around people. We interact with people all the time. And everybody's going through their own journey. Everybody's walking their own path, experiencing things, having, reactions to things, developing thoughts and viewpoints. We all go through that. So when somebody shows up in our life and they're in crisis, they're in drama, they're in something's going on, and they want to pull us into that, there's a big distinction between having empathy and taking responsibility. So if you come to me and, right, we're connected and you say, John, I'm feeling like this, or you made me feel like this, or this is what's going on, and let me tell you about my day. And, we've seen more tragedy this year. This person's passed away. This couple's getting divorced. I've seen our fair share in the last couple of years of stuff like that. But there is a big distinction between having empathy for what somebody's going through and taking responsibility and trying to fix it. And I want to talk about that distinction. So again, empathy, right? I believe, right? Show the love of Christ, care, listen, offer some guidance if it's asked for. If it's not asked for, right, then you're offering something that's not going to be well received. How often do people come to us with their stuff and we're so quick to go, let me tell you how to fix that. Let me tell you what you should do. Let me give you my opinion on it. And it wasn't asked for. That also builds resentment. right? Because it's got to be asked for. So sometimes what I'll say is, I'll ask for clarity. There's often many times I'll say, hey, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. I'm so sorry you're feeling this way. You reached out to me for a reason, or you're sharing it with me for a reason. What are you looking for from me right in this moment? Because I want to make sure I show up properly and not give you my agenda. I've asked that question. What are you looking for from me here? I just want you to listen. Great. Then I can listen with empathy. I can listen with care. But until I'm asked for my perspective, I can't give it because it wasn't asked for. So sometimes asking for clarity goes a long way in relationships, right? So empathy is actually caring, not right, like you're not faking it. You actually care. I want to know why you feel the way you do. And you can ask questions. Tell me how you're feeling about that. Why do you think that's going on? What's happening? Listening, sometimes just being quiet and listening will go a long way. Empathy can show up in many different ways, but empathy is really at the heart of it, caring about the other person. You may not agree, but you can still listen with empathy because for every single person we encounter, their reality is their reality. It's not my reality, it's their reality, and their reality is real. And try on the fact that every single one of us is walking around interpreting our own reality. So, real honest empathy, pillar of the man up already mindset is authentic empathy is actually giving a shit, really caring, listening. What is this person saying? What perspective are they coming from? But the where we can get into trouble is oftentimes we take personal responsibility for another's drama, crisis, or situation. And here's the when I learned this, the mind, right? For so many of us, and I'm guilty of this in the past, not anymore. But I'm taking responsibility for your problems because I don't want to take responsibility for mine. When we try to fix somebody else's challenge, drama, crisis, whatever, we deny them their own growth moment. They're going through this for a reason. There's a lesson in there that they have to learn. But when we try to fix it, really, we're the ones that will end up losing because we disempower that person, we disempower ourselves, and oftentimes it can build resentment because they didn't fix it for themselves. It can come back later and you could be blamed for, well, you did this and that wasn't the right thing, or I didn't, like I'm still having the same problem, whatever. Right. So taking responsibility costs us time, it costs us emotion. Now, understand there's a big distinction between empathy and responsibility. Taking responsibility is not our job. It's theirs. It's extreme ownership. Go back and there's an episode from 2020 on extreme ownership that I did with my wife, TJ. Right. But we each have to take ownership of our stuff, our crisis, right? If somebody close to us passes away, our emotional response to that is our responsibility, right? If I try to make you feel better, that all of a sudden I'm taking responsibility. You know how empowering it is to say to someone, I understand how you feel. I would feel the same way if I was where you're at and I'm here for you. I'm not taking responsibility. I'm not trying to, hey, well, try to get over it, do this. Let me help you fix that. Let me try to make you happier. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. We honor people by being empathetic and understanding where they're at. Sometimes it's okay to say, oftentimes I think it's okay to say, it's okay for you to feel the way if you're angry right now, it's okay to be angry. I'm empathetic to your anger. And let's just be there. Listen, why don't we talk when you're not so angry and let's talk about this. But if you come at me in anger and I respond in anger, that's not being empathetic, right? That's just making it worse. God knows I've made that mistake, especially with my wife. right? So there's a big distinction in how we deal with people, and approaching situations with empathy versus approaching them trying to take responsibility or trying to fix it. I think you understand where I'm going at. And honestly, like, there's a situation that we're obviously dealing with right now. And I have said I don't think they understand the full ramifications of what they're saying, how they're acting, and the how it's going to affect other people and what that's going to cause moving forward, right? So I can be empathetic and I can say to that person, listen, I want you to just kind of, maybe hit pause, and I want you to see things from the perspective of others so that you can understand how we're interpreting what you're saying. And why don't you tell me what you're saying and what you're thinking so I can better understand your perspective? But if I just respond in emotion, right? I'm not taking responsibility for me. I'm not taking responsibility for you. Nobody's taking responsibility for anything. We're just reacting. And then you have confrontation and things go really south. So it's a short podcast episode. Like, literally, I had a moment where the guests were scheduled. The last minute couldn't make it. And I'm like, well, we're going to continue having an episode. So what can I share that I think will add some value, and cause you maybe to go, the next time somebody comes at you with something, maybe there's a death, maybe there's a breakup, maybe there's a financial issue, maybe there's a, who knows, maybe it's a misinterpretation of something that you've done. Approach it with empathy. I'll share another story. It just came to mind here. I've had a relational issue, because, by the way, there's always relationship issues when you're in relationship with people, right? And this person is still really, really mad at me. And so and I think it's a lot of it is misinterpretation, but it is their reality. They're mad at me. So I can sit here and try to make them unmad, right? And continue to try to take responsibility for why they're mad and try to continue to fix something that they have to fix within themselves. It's really, in the end, a perspective issue. And so if we step outside of that and we go, well, what's the perspective of what's their perspective? Here's my perspective, but what theirs perspective. And I equally go, okay, that's their perspective. Here's my perspective. And if we all step outside and look at how things can be seen in different ways, I think we'd be way more empathetic to how another person is thinking, feeling. So this person is incredibly mad at me, and who knows if we'll ever be in relationship again, but I'm not mad at them. I can get angry at some things that were said and some things that were done, but if I do, nothing changes. I can empathetically go, well, here's why. This is the perspective that they have. I probably would feel the same way if I was seeing it from that perspective, but I'm not. So I can get better. I can grow. And I can look at those things and go, well, maybe some of those things were done, and how do I make them better? They may not want to listen to how I'm making them better or accept an apology, but I can get better. I can work on that. I can self-analyze. I can grow. And that's really, right, being empathetic to all of it instead of getting so, taking responsibility for it all, good, bad, whatever, getting ourselves crazy, getting angry, getting emotional, getting sad. Like, we have emotions. I'm not saying don't have emotions. What I am saying, though, is we can hit the pause button. We can step outside and really take a look at them, and then move it forward in love. And everything I'm really talking about is applying what is called the love of Christ to every aspect of my life. And me personally, am trying to get much better at that on a daily basis. How do I continue to apply that? How do I apply that to every aspect of my life? How do I show the love of Christ in this moment? And when I share that with you on the podcast, that's my belief. That's not, again, I'm not taking responsibility for your belief. Don't take responsibility for mine. I'm just sharing who I am and how I approach things. Now, if you want to try that on, that's That's your decision. I don't take responsibility for that at all, right? That's the whole point of what we're doing here, is sharing ideas, sharing thoughts. I share what I walk through, that maybe it'll help you in what you're walking through. So anyway, with that, a clear distinction between empathy and responsibility. And remember, somebody else's drama is not your responsibility. If anything, it's our responsibility to be empathetic to their situation and show care, concern, love, compassion, lend a helping hand. But it's not your fault. Why people, what people think, how people feel, that's not our fault. That's not our responsibility. It is our responsibility in how we act from those moments. And I'm sharing, be empathetic to what people are going through and just continue to take responsibility for yourself and get better. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of the Man Up Already podcast. We really do appreciate it. And I want to ask you to do a couple of things. Number one, subscribe to the podcast, whatever platform you're listening or viewing on, subscribe to the podcast, right? Help us, right, continue to grow by joining the community, and also rate the podcast, rate the episode, right? Whatever platform you're on, you could leave a rating. Let us know your comments. Let us know your thoughts. If you can do that, we really do want your feedback. You could head on over to manupalready.com and check out our website. All the podcast episodes are on there as well, but also join our community, sign up on our emailing list. We're going to get content out to you. There's also a free resource there for you when you do that. And pass it on. Pass on the podcast. Let people know, right, what we're up to, what we're about. Speak about it. If you're a podcast enthusiast, please share episodes. Tell people about what it is that we do, what we do here, and what you like about it, and what you don't like about it. And that's okay as well, right? It's just getting the word out. And then finally, I want to thank a great sponsor of our podcast, Master Beef Jerky. Their slogan is bold flavor, tender bite. If you head on over to masterbeefjerky.com, they've got incredible flavors there. But if you put in the coupon code MUAP, you will get 20% off your order. I highly recommend you check them out. Master Beef Jerky, bold flavor, tender bite, and a great sponsor of the podcast. Until next time, thanks so much for being here, and we'll talk to you soon.